All right, for my ideas on my game this week, I did not make a map. These past 2 weeks have been rough. I've been in and out of hospitals. Not me personally, but I've had a family member who, after another family member passed away, has constantly put themselves in high stress. Well, I don't know if they're putting themselves, but anyway, it's made it very hard. That's why this week and last week there's only one video. I apologize about that. I'm not gonna try to combine the game. I don't have anything for it. With the game, I want to get to a point where I have a map drawn out to show you that actually is intricate, and I can point to certain points in the map. Maybe I'll make it on my computer, but I'll point to certain points in the map, and once I get to there, that would be like a player event thing where it's like, um, you know, they get to that certain area. I can, my plan was to come up with like a series of different options that they could take, but this week just hasn't been it. So this is the first part of this video is just me explaining why there's only one video. But secondly, I don't have my equipment with me, so I'm just recording this very boring thing because I usually use a repeating background to go over what I'm thinking about with the game. But okay, so now on to the point. For this week, my past expansions have been on a game about, and theories on a game, like what it would be like if you started from someone's earliest point where you could play them and bringing it as far as you can with a game where their choices would either bring them to being a really good person, a bad person, a criminal, a cop, a soldier. I don't know. I would like it for to have a lot of options, which would take a lot of time to code in. But I really do think people would enjoy that freedom. Uh, with the discussions we did this week, I was part of the social issues. So, for me, I guess, to incorporate in that, it seemed like what a lot of the thing focused on was first off, direct. I mean, I think you could somehow implement direct teaching into the game itself through a tutorial like area where just a character's showing you the ins and outs of how choices can affect them by performing a choice and then maybe showing you somebody performing the other choice. That would give the player a little bit of like heads up without too much hand holding to show that things can go different. But I don't know, it's hard because the game itself I would rather to be an experience. I wouldn't want it to try to be a therapeutic experience, more of a just have people fascinated in seeing what's happened. Maybe talk about influencing philosophy and stuff like that. But like one of the things that was in this week's readings was security and people needing circles that they need to be in. I don't know how I'd implement that into a game, especially a single player game that's focused on choices. Because for the character to even have those people in the game, the player would have to want to give the character that option and work on those things. Which, I mean, you could implement, sure, that maybe if you do work on that, the character could make friends and have a really fun, in quote, out quote, experience with their friend playthrough or circles playthrough. But I feel like a lot of people would also be interested in solo plays and not having to deal with NPCs. So there's that on that one. I think you could play a lot with morals in it, though. That was a part in the reading because morals have to do with choices. This game itself is essentially a choice-based theory game, or a choice game in theory, based heavily off of the games like Until Dawn. What are some other ones? Heavy Rain. That company, I'm absolutely in love with the games that they do. Telltale Games, they unfortunately went out of business. But I think these games do provide a lot of, not really insight, but fun with morals, and they show morals. I think at times they can often show personalities that you wouldn't expect reacting to certain things as well, which can help you get a sense of sometimes real people. Sometimes, most times, characters in games are exaggerated, but there are certain things in those games where you realize, oh, well, if I push that towards this type of person, they're going to be affected negatively or positively. So it could help you read between lines a little bit there. And I think a lot of those games, they deal with morals themselves because your choices, oftentimes in the corner, will get a prompt that'll say this character either respected that or hated that or loved that, or your crew or company or friends will entirely disagree with you and they'll bail on you and won't be your friend, or you could win people over. So I think it shows very basic levels of good and evil morals. I mean, there's you could probably try to put some complicated ones in, but this is my expansion for the idea on the game so far. Uh, just adding in what it would be for this week. But so far, it's just, in theory, a choice game that I really wouldn't want to be handheldy. A lot of freedom of choice. A lot of those games, they do come down to your set and free arenas, but I would love an open world freedom of choice game where you're a lot like Breath of the Wild, free to explore a world, but I'd also like it to where what you do in that world constantly has an effect, which I mean in Breath of the Wild it does, but I would rather have it not so much just only on a world scale, but the people, the way they are, the way certain civilizations are. I think it would be fun to see how deeply you can make one person affect something.